Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that we're doing things a little bit differently, but isn't it wonderful that we can stay connected however it works? What I want you to know is that if you're joining us for the first time, I want to welcome you and let you know that wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here with us. This is a community that comes together just to know how wonderful we really are and to remind each other of this when we might forget it for ourselves. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us online, and we are looking forward to finding new and exciting ways to stay connected during these times. Our service will be a little bit different today. I'm going to introduce, first of all, our guest practitioner. Pat Richards is a practitioner at Harmony Center in Whittier, and she'll join us today for an opening prayer and a reading. So at this time, I would like to begin. I invite you to take a moment wherever you are. Simply take a deep breath and close your eyes. And as you breathe, move into that spiritual center within, that divine heart, that place of peace. Moving into that heart space where we remember that you and I and Spirit are one.
And right here, right now, we know that Spirit is in this amazing place. Breathe in and feel the energy, the goodness, the love, and the light that surrounds us. Breathe in and feel that morning light that just radiated out this morning. Feel the spring, the essence of spring, that goodness, that energy that brings all good things to rejuvenate and to move up and towards the light. New growth on the trees, new leaves, little brand new geese following their mother around. Breathe in all that love, all that light, all that God-filled light, and know how amazing it is. So thankful to Reverend Tracy for this opportunity, and to Reverend Jennifer, and to her amazing team that is making all of this possible. Oh my goodness, how fortunate we are to be here among family and friends. So I release this into the law, knowing that what I believe is done on the mind of God. It is all good. It is all God. And so it is.
And as you are ready, I invite you to once again open your eyes, taking that deep breath. And right where you are is all the love and the light that is Spirit.
My reading today is from Creative Thought, January of 2007. It's called, I Live in Perfect Calm and Poise. There is one divine order in the universe. In perfect calm and poise, its perfect calm and poise move through me in every activity. I am one with divine flow as it activates great beauty and joy. My life balances perfectly as I align with the internal power, taking time to experience my world in all its richness. In this recognition, my life becomes one of great wisdom as creative intelligence outpictures through me with a deeper sense of understanding and clarity. Freedom and ease are the essence of my being, allowing me to choose and moving me forward in my spiritual journey. Always sure of myself, I release thoughts of anxiety, worry, or fear. As I speak my word, I know it is the word of Spirit within me, propelled by the love of God, moving through law and manifesting in my experience. Joyfully I release my word to the creative law of mind, demonstrating perfect calm and poise in everything I think. I am deeply grateful for the awareness and give genuine thanks. And so it is.
Thank you, Pat. That was perfect. So my talk today is called Tell Me More. And this week was meant to be a question and answer session. As you can see, we're having to do it a little bit differently, sort of like last week. Sometimes when a minister picks a talk title, she doesn't really know where it's going to end up. So here we are. And what I realized is that we actually have a lot of questions right now. There are questions all over the place. How long is this going to last? Why is it happening? Am I going to get sick? Am I going to die? Am I going to be forgotten? Somehow, am I not going to get enough? Can I support myself or my family during this time? How in the world can there possibly be any good that comes out of something that is so scary and worrisome and that is causing such an extreme difference in the way I live my daily life? Are you feeling anxious yet? You know, most of us are. These questions swirl around, and I think it's really important to note that questions are not meant to be like quicksand. It's not meant to pull us under, to make us feel more anxious, to cause greater worry. Questions are actually the door opening to a sense of wonder and curiosity, and perhaps even a way to tap into our own sense of trust and faith. We're not meant to struggle when we have questions. We're meant to pause. And that's truly what we're being asked to do here. You know, there really is only one question that is valid at this point, and it's, how am I going to handle uncertainty? Because that's what we're living in. We're living in a time of uncertainty. There are a lot of unanswered questions. There are a lot of people worried about many different things. And we can see that all around us. And so when we think about how to handle uncertainty, when I go back to what Ernest Holmes says, he says in the Science of Mind text, he says that recognition of oneness is what frees us from uncertainty and pain. And I want to look today at how that actually shows up in our everyday life. Because we're being asked to change everything that we do and not to do many things that we normally do. And what it made me think of was that maybe tech support all these years was actually right. Maybe we really do need to turn it off and back on again. I've never really believed them that made any difference, but think about, this is what we're doing, right? We are resetting our lives. We're having to shut down in so many different areas. And it's actually giving us a way to look again at what it is we do and why we do it. We're being asked to redefine what we think of as essential. So think about your life, your regular daily life before this week, and how busy you were and the activities you did and where you went and how you were functioning and what you were thinking about and how you just went from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And ask yourself why you do any of those things. And I think it comes down to three things. I think it comes down to our need to connect, our desire to enjoy our lives, and our interest in prospering. Everything that we do has something to do with connection or prospering or enjoyment. Now, when we're in a crisis, it presents us with a list of all the things we can't do. And what I'm offering is a way to flip that, to ask yourself, what is it right now that I can do? Because the truth is, connection just is. We are always interconnected. Love simply exists. Love is always available to us. Peace is the truth of our being. It is always there for us. And so if those things are always there, then the outer world doesn't have quite as much to say about how I feel or how I move or how I live. So we can still connect with each other. We can still take care of ourselves and our family. We can still enjoy our lives. But it definitely looks different. We're being asked to be creative. Last week I gave an example of a writing exercise where you write an essay or a poem, but you are restricted to a certain list of words. All of these seemingly unrelated words have to be incorporated into what you write. It's a very short, small list, and you're sort of forced to be creative in a way you hadn't thought of before. And isn't that what we're talking about when we say think outside the box? You know, our minds react and act in the same ways over and over and over again. And you know, if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night, that your thoughts also go in the same grooves over and over and over again. Unless you unplug. Unless you take everything off the table. Unless you empty it and start again. So we are being asked to unplug. We are being asked to think of doing things in new ways. We are being asked to be careful and conscious in ways we had not been before. And one of the things we're being asked to do is to monitor our temperature. Well, that meant that Pat and I had to go out and buy a thermometer, because if you don't have little kids in the house, you probably don't have a thermometer. Well, now we do. And I read the directions for the thermometer, and it was very clear. Both the thermometer and you physically have to be at room temperature when you start in order to get an accurate reading. So if you've been sitting in the sun and it's beating down on your forehead, or you just got out of a hot bath, or your thermometer's been in your glove compartment of your car and it's hot, you're not going to get a good assessment. You and the device have to both be at room temperature. We have to start from neutral. So when we're listening to the newscaster go on in his feverish, excitable way about the drama unfolding, we need to have a way to return ourselves to a neutral state so that we might be able to live in a way that is effective for us and true to our nature. We don't want to be too hot thinking about this. And that's spiritual practice. We're being called to remind ourselves of the greater truth, to let go of the outside distractions long enough to tap into the place within us that knows love and peace. And to do so in a way that reminds us that compassion and kindness and gentleness and caring are all part of our nature. It's who we truly are. So what that means, now, to me, I can't totally turn off the news. Okay, I can't completely withdraw from the world. I live here. I'm in it. I'm here in my community and my family. But I can balance things out. I can watch 10 minutes of the CDC report on what the status is of this virus, and then I can spend 20 minutes dancing in my kitchen. You know, I can talk to my family members who might be overwrought or very concerned or just in a place of fear and worry. And I can be a place of listening and compassion and kindness. And then I can send them a funny cat video and make them laugh, because laughter heals. Dialogue heals. Keeping ourselves busy is healing. As long as we're being busy from our authentic self, which means right here at home, right here where we are. We are reminding ourselves that God is right where we are. Not just the news, not just what could happen, not even just what has happened, but here and now. Spirit is at work, always and in all good ways. So one of our friends, you may know Denise Rosier, she's an artist, she's a singer, songwriter, and she posted yesterday that she'd spent 6 days in her house and then finally had to go out and get groceries. And so she said, 6 days in the house listening to the news and, trying to stay upbeat and take care of herself, and goes out into the community and realizes that it's not the disaster that people were saying it was. That people are kind. That compassion still exists. She said she was in Target. Now, if you've been to Target in the last few days, you know how fun that is. She was in Target, and a man asked an employee who was surrounded by a whole bunch of people whether or not they had any Lysol. And she said, "Sorry, no, we don't." And he said, "Thank you, ma'am." And another person walking by looked right at the employee and said, "Thank you for being here. Take good care of yourself." Who we are doesn't change with the circumstances unless we let it. Denise has a line from one of her songs that love is in the space between us. And so as we keep our distance from each other when we're out in public, as we stay physically apart, let's remember that love is in that space between us, which means every phone call, every picture sent, every social media posting that calls someone out by name, every note you write. You remember how to write notes, right? You've got a bunch of get well cards and birthday cards in your cupboard that you haven't sent in years because you're so busy texting or emailing. What if you actually wrote a note to someone you love? What if for every person you couldn't hug, you could call them and say hi? You know, we don't need a lot from each other. We just need to know we have not been forgotten. We may not be standing together, but we can still talk to each other. We can still go outside. You know, this safer at home doesn't mean you have to stay in your house. You can go walk the dog. You and your family can walk next to each other. Just stay 6 feet apart from the other family across the street that hopefully is also out walking the dog or riding their bikes or just taking in the buds on the trees. And like Pat said, those little goslings at the park are adorable. They're waiting for you to come take their picture so you can send it to your mother who needs a little sweetness in her life right now. So remind yourself that the rest you are doing is good. That the redefining of what's essential comes from the heart. That not doing anything is doing something. And what we are doing is we are doing something for the greater good. Think of it this way. A surfer will often choose to go under a wave. A good surfer does not try to catch every single wave. First of all, you get really, really tired. Second of all, you wipe out a whole lot. Sometimes avoiding the wave is actually doing the most appropriate thing. And that's what we're doing here. We are moving ourselves out of the way so that first responders can do what they do and we do not overwhelm our hospital system. We're moving out of the way to keep the people around us safe, even if we don't get sick. We're letting healing happen for the greater good, for all of us, for love. And so to close, I offer you a poem. It's by Donna Ashworth. History will remember when the world stopped and the flights stayed on the ground and the cars parked in the street and the trains didn't run. History will remember when the schools closed and the children stayed indoors and the medical staff walked towards the fire and they didn't run. History will remember when the people sang on their balconies in isolation, but so very much together in courage and in song. History will remember when the people fought for their old and their weak, protecting the vulnerable by doing nothing at all. History will remember when the virus left and the houses opened and the people came out and hugged and kissed and started again, kinder than before. Namaste. So if you will, join me in a moment of prayer. I invite you to once again close your eyes, to take that deep breath, to feel your own breathing, your own body, your own place in this space, right here, right now. And know that in this moment all is well. That where you are, love is. That although we are not in the same room, we are in the same consciousness. There is no space or distance. in God. And so as we are here together, knowing love, knowing kindness, knowing that that which is of the world is temporary and will pass, and that love will remain, I find myself breathing more easily, more gently, more calmly. I know and speak my word for the light that life is. Even here, even now, Spirit works, and we are called to that kinder, gentler self that we know to be true. And so I speak my word that from this moment forward I see only with the eyes of peace. I act only with the hands of compassion. I move gently in my world, keeping my physical distance and yet staying connected, one heart at a time. For life is still good and very good. And that which is good will grow. And we will move through this offering of temporary distance to learn and find and discover who and what we really are. And knowing this, I say thank you and simply let it be, and so it is. Thank you again for joining us today, for making it work. And watch your emails and on our Facebook page and our website to know what's coming up next. We're looking for new ways to get together, and we will be sharing those with you as we can. I also want to let you know that our practitioners will be reaching out to everyone just to touch base, to offer prayer support, and to keep you informed of what's going on with us as a community. We love you. There is nowhere you can be where love is not. Don't forget. And reach out to each other, to us, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great day.